Yay, we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh my gosh, I know you've got a ton of things going on.
I do.
And
Yeah.
can we say the wedding bit as well?
Yes. So in 10 days, I'm actually getting married. So if I have post-traumatic hurricane wedding planning brain, please do not judge me today.
Oh my God,
Yes.
10 days away and you find time to do this. We are
Oh my
truly,
gosh.
yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love doing this and I'm just so excited. So do we have people that are outside of Keller Williams on the call, or is this all just to get a gauge of the audience?
So I'm going to do a quick introduction really quick. And then there are just to set the stage, we are getting lots of new guests from all over the country. And there's a lender on the call today, which is super exciting. So it's mostly Keller Williams that we invite, but I can't promise that it's exclusively because the link gets shared a little bit.
Yeah, no, same thing when I'm doing my area one. So I just wanted to make sure.
So I'm just going to welcome everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining us for our Let's Talk Luxury call, because we do have a lot of new faces today from all over the place. We meet every first Wednesday. So our next call is December 7th. Stick around for the end of this call. We'll tell you about our December 7th call. It's very, very exciting. Our objective with our call is to connect luxury focused agents with luxury industry leaders. There are 3 hosts on this call. I'm Jennifer Scales. I'm down here in Tampa, Florida with Anjali Gill. She's also in Tampa. And then Jason Smith, he's down in South Florida, Miami. If you've received an invitation by email to this call, then you will also receive a recording. If you found this call otherwise through social media or something else, just check the chat. I will put a note about how to subscribe for future calls. One quick note that we have a guest from South Florida, Juliet Restrepo. Sorry if I mixed up your last name. She's doing a little fundraising for some families of Keller Williams that were displaced during Hurricane Ian for the holiday season for Thanksgiving. And she's put a little note about that in the chat box. So check that out. Oh gosh, and I think we can get started. Anjali, if you want to introduce our special guest, we can jump right into our call today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen. Now, if I were to actually do the introduction I planned, that would pretty much take up the entire call because this lady, oh my gosh, she is accomplished to say the least of it. So I'm just going to give you a little bit about her. Brandy has been an area resident of Sarasota for 37 years, licensed for 18, and is a USF graduate. I'm a USF mom, so go Bulls. I think I'm getting it right. I'm learning. She believes the basic tenets of service should be knowledge, honesty, loyalty, and trust. Marked by this philosophy and a high degree of work ethic, the Coffey Group has consistently been in the top 1% for overall sales volume for Sarasota and Manatee County. And we all know what the price points there are, so they are really killing it. Brandy is the OP and broker for Keller Williams, Island Life, Real Estate, and KW Suncoast. And oh my gosh, she's got a string of designations. I don't know when she finds time to breathe. She's SIP certified, NAR Green, CAA, CRPD, resort and second home specialist. Oh, the list goes on. But the one I love the most is she was recently asked to be the social media ambassador for Keller Williams International. My gosh, really, when do you find the time to breathe?
I love to sleep 8 hours so I can be really efficient during the work hours. And I don't like to work weekends and I don't like to work at night. So I get my rest at night and then I can do a lot of amazing stuff and share lots of knowledge with our agents and help them grow their business. So that's really my goal right now, is a leadership role. I'm actually the regional luxury ambassador for North Florida. And so that gives me the opportunity to share some really great statistics, methods, tactics, and ways in which we can create the ultimate experience with the Ritz Carlton Approach for all clients. So luxury to me is a way of life. It's an experience. It's not a price point. We do cover all price points. I have a team. And then again, I'm an OP and broker of 2 market centers. So this is something that I do a lot of training and consultations around. So that's what I'm going to base this call on. And then obviously open for any questions. I don't know if you like to do Q at the end, or you want to raise your hand. I'm totally open to any questions. I'm a curious person. So I love questions. It pushes me to do better and learn more. If it's a question I can't answer, I'll go find out.
Well, if it's okay with you, we'll have you go with your presentation, and people can put their questions in the chat. And at the end, we'll have the last 15 minutes where people can hop on and ask questions, if that's okay with you.
Fantastic. So
All right.
I will just share my screen. Can you all see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I love this report. It just came out. We just had a luxury mastermind with the Keller Williams luxury community. But what I've noticed is sometimes we do not share our story enough. And I utilize this a lot with clients, especially in the $1 million and up price point. Matter of fact, I'm helping an agent in my brokerage and also on my team attend a listing appointment around 5 million on the beach tomorrow. So this is something I use with them, but I also think is really valuable for any luxury agent, no matter which region you're in. And one thing I talk about is this number here, 80.3 billion. So I'm not sure if you all had a chance to review this. This should be something to circulate stories on social media. That's probably why I was asked to be a social media ambassador, because as soon as these reports come out, I'm consistently sharing them on different platforms. I'm also going to incorporate them in my newsletter. I'm going to send them in text messages to even my past clients. It's just a reminder of what we do, and that if they know anyone looking above that $1 million mark. I had a client refer someone to me at a grocery store. So I get a call the other day saying, I heard, you're the luxury specialist in this area, and your client so-and-so said, I must call you. And what's great is I'm not really in heavy production, but that's a great warm lead for my team. And then should they need my assistance, if it's uber lux to go and help them secure the listing, I'm more than willing to do it. So I think these numbers, to be well versed in them, is really important. It is our story collectively as what we do. And it's really powerful when you're up against another brand. I also like this referral number, 14.1 billion. So according to the National Association of Realtors, I'm a huge stats nerd. So I always look at what transactions are occurring and why. Well, 80% of the transactions are due to agent relationships. And this really proves that our luxury community is very strong, because these are the transactions that we're referring back and forth. Should you be tracking them? Hopefully you're tracking them in Command. So there's also some transaction information. We've done 23,502. This is just year to date. So I'll show you 2020's end year results. But I think it's important to look at what we've done last year, 2021, and then again, what we've done year to date. So we're already at 23,027 transactions through September. My guess is we're going to exceed, right? We're very close to this 23,502, and we have a few months, right? This is where we can really shine, with a lot of people potentially getting out of the business.
And this isn't a year when it's supposed to be slower than last year. So,
right. But I think it's
awesome.
Opportunity. So, like you mentioned, I've been an area resident of Sarasota for 37 years. In the top 1%, not only for this area, but in the National Association of Realtors, right? And there were 1.6 million members last year. So you want to share, where you rank. And if you're not on a team, use your brokerage or maybe even your region, right? I know we have South Florida on here. Those are really powerful numbers, or even the state numbers, combining whatever you want to share. And then you mentioned some of the actual credentials. Now, over 18 years, yes, I've established a few designations. We do have a lot of great training within our company, but if you're not specifically with Keller Williams, I love sharing that the National Association of Realtors offers really good training, whether it be on certified auction specialists, certified international property specialists. A lot of people in the luxury world want to know that either you're well-traveled or educated on different cultures, or you know how to handle an international transaction. And we lead the country in international transactions. It's amazing how many transactions we do. And I keep that information in my actual listing consultation so that I'm sharing with them, again, National Association of Realtor Statistics, to help them understand why I went out and got this education to bring these luxury buyers to their property. And a lot of times they're cash. And then, just kind of creating a Ritz Carlton approach with an ultimate experience for me kind of happened through the need and the demand of what I saw going on in the marketplace. So what I noticed is I would have to get a property ready for market, regardless of which kind of price point you were dealing with. It could have been a $250,000 house years ago, or it could have been a $5 million home. Either way, typically you want to have a pre-inspection, and what that will do is create a list of things that you've told them to take care of. And what's happening is a lot of my clients were out of state. Some of them in the past might have been elderly. So I ended up forming another entity or two to help service them and create a very smooth transaction. And for us, that was a repair and remodel company, residential and commercial, and then a property management company. So when I hold an investment seminar for high-end clientele and I tell them what my mission is to create wealth for others, I want to fulfill my promise by saying, okay, listen, you want to hold this property and cash flow it while you own this primary residence over here, and you want to build investment portfolio A, B, whether it be residential or commercial. We actually can manage this for you no matter where you're at in the world. So it helped us really just service the client. These were not companies that we came up with in order to create this huge profit. Now, do they profit? Yes, that's the really wonderful thing. And we were not getting the same level of service or experience that we expect when we were referring this out to other property management companies. So it's just something to think about, whether you do a joint venture or maybe you buy out another company. There are so many opportunities with all this money that we've made, especially the last 2 years, to reinvest in other assets, which are businesses. And there's a lot of great tax benefits. I'm not a CPA, but when you buy a business or you buy real estate, you can certainly attend one of my investment seminars. Those are the two things I love investing in for a multitude of reasons. One, it creates that Ritz Carlton approach, and it gives them an ultimate experience that they expect and they should expect because they're dealing with other luxury brands. And it's another way for me to figure out how to reinvest my income in a smart way. Let's see. So what else I have on here is that we have a staging company. Now we are part of the KW Style to Design community. We did have a staging company prior to that. I do think if you haven't looked at Heather Kane's program with that community, great training. Again, I've owned a staging company and a design company for years, and I've always offered these services as an ancillary business. But she has great training to kind of attend if it's new to you, how to structure the finances, or you can just use her company should you choose. So I always tell people, don't get overwhelmed by all the things that I do. This has happened over an 18-year period, and it was based on the needs that I saw with my clients. And then I realized that some other businesses that might be really good as far as branding, but they didn't have what I thought it took to actually create an experience that meets my expectations. So over time, we just developed it ourselves, or again, did some joint ventures. Okay.
I love it. So you actually created these companies to bring that level of quality in
Yes.
every aspect. That's fabulous.
And of course, we didn't launch them all at once. So again, this might seem a little bit overwhelming when we're looking at it, but over time, we've just decided, where do we see value and where can we bring more value to our clients? This is just kind of what I always share with my clients. Yes, we're the #1 real estate company with units, volume, and agent count. But sometimes, again, we're not sharing what we do on a global scale, even outside of luxury. So I did share some of those specific to over $1 million numbers. But I want to share, sorry about that. What we did 2021 end of year, $532.2 billion. Okay, and that was just in US and Canada. These are huge numbers. Outside of North America, you can see our sales volume was up 12.1 billion. I really, really urge you, it's imperative to go look at your competition's numbers, especially if it's just a local strong brand. This is really powerful. I very rarely, when I was in heavy production, lost luxury listings to other companies. It would be maybe if I didn't want the listing, quite frankly, they weren't willing to do the things to bring it to market in the best light. So these are really good numbers to share as a whole. And especially if you're earning your way into luxury, use these numbers. These are some communities that my team belongs to. I do believe on focusing on your one thing. So yes, as an OP and broker, I go on a lot of the training classes for these communities. But I also encourage my team members to pick a specialty. You know, are they in the military? Do they want to specialize in commercial? Do they want to specialize in luxury? Is it sports and entertainment? Again, staging, style design, is that their value proposition? So if you do form a team or you're looking to join a team, they might have little niches that you are able to specialize in. And then overall, you can create this big organization that everyone has their own specialty. They stay in their lane, and then you know how to refer those leads to the team members because that's the area they have expertise in. This is just a picture of some of my really good friends. You'll see Brady Sandel. That was before he was the director of growth. Greg Clark, he's in Austin. Kathy Nye might look real familiar. She used to run luxury. She's now in charge of KW Cares. Leslie Akers is in here. She was also past president of luxury.
And
Amber
Leslie's
Hart.
also on the call.
Oh, awesome.
She gave you a shout out on, yes, in the chat, she gave you a shout out. Just wanted to point it out.
I love it.
Hi, Brandy.
Hi, how are you? So I love sharing this photo. We've had newer photos than this, but there's just something really magical about this night, and we've all stayed connected. And some of us even have our own little mini masterminds, like Dean Otto is in Hawaii. We have a resort and second home mastermind that we do once a month. And it's just about 15 of us. It's invite only. So that's something to think about. If you're not a part of one of these communities, or there's something that really you're passionate about, figure out a way to start your own if you don't already have one to join, and create your community or your family for what you are passionate about. So branding is really important. You'll see a lot of consistencies through the top luxury agents branding, down to your font, your logo, and really your messaging. I think that's the most important thing. So for me, I'm very philanthropic. So a lot of my messaging is about my mission and how I want to create wealth for people. So by doing so, I know they'll give back to their community. I put every organization that I'm involved with in my bio and all of my marketing in my listing consultation. So don't be afraid. Don't think you're bragging. Honestly, it's something you're passionate about, and it's going to resonate with someone. And that might actually help you get the listing, because they might be an animal lover, you know, if you're involved with the Humane Society or something to that nature. Just so everyone knows on the call, these are all the areas that I service. Again, it seems like a lot, but this has happened over time. So I live in Sarasota County. I do own a market center in Manatee County in an area called Lakewood Ranch. A lot of new construction, plan unit developments, and golf course communities. So there's the average price in that area is about $1 million as an entry level for, you know, like a 3 to 4 bedroom home. And then all of these barrier islands are what we consider the beach areas in the communities we serve. We do go all the way down to Naples. I have an expansion partner in the Fort Myers area. So he'll cover Marco, Sanibel, Estero Island, all the southern areas. So one thing I talk about a lot when I'm, you know, helping my agents understand what their mission is. Obviously, for me, it's to increase the net worth for as many families as possible. And by doing so, we know they'll give back to the community. That's something, again, I have in all of my messaging. I do hold financial investment seminars, usually about once a month, if possible. Right now with the wedding, I had one last month. I'm not sure it's going to happen this month, but I think it's just a matter of being consistent and making sure that your branding includes the right messaging, and your mission should always be somewhere in there. Same thing with your vision. So our vision is to create the ultimate experience for our clients with the Ritz Carlton approach, enhancing our community, making an impact and leaving a legacy. So for us, it's all about our community. And then our core values. This is really important when I'm hiring a team member, hiring an agent in one of our market centers, one of our brokerages, and also for my team. So I'm looking for people that are very learning based. How many questions did they ask me? And are they interviewing me? What do their credentials look like? Do they have a degree, or are they actually actively, do I see them at the board of realtors because they don't have a lot of training in their brokerage maybe? Are they really invested in their future? Do they set goals? Do they write them down? Obviously, do they have integrity? For me, if you say you're going to do something, my love language is action. So I have to see the action behind it. You can tell me all day long, but I always say, it's a question of integrity. If you say you're going to do something, you don't. So I always have to see, are they going to perform, right? Everybody wants to talk about the things they want to do, but will they really take the action steps? And then honesty, loyalty, and trust. Those are also important in my personal life. I think for most people, we know a relationship can't occur without those three things. That also helps me express how I want to be a fiduciary to my client, not my customer. And that's where I bring up agency for the state of Florida. And we are allowed to operate as single agents, which is a fiduciary to our clients. I use that all day long to get listings, help my agents get listings, and also secure buyer listing agreements. And then this is our tagline. We seek clients for life. Our focus is our sphere. 80% of our business comes from our sphere, which does include a lot of Keller Williams agents, luxury agents, even outside of Keller Williams. And then these are just some great things that I think we should always have in our marketing. I take what I see on the Outfront website, and I'll have a marketing company just make it look pretty and put it inside of our consultation or pre-listing. So we've won a lot of awards. We do a lot of business. I think it's worthwhile to have in there, not just our own statistics. Like, what have we done collectively as an organization? And that's pretty much it. I know I talked fast, but I wanted to open it up for questions and make sure everyone gets an opportunity to ask me anything you'd like.
So I'm going to just jump in. This is Jennifer in Tampa. I know somebody's going to ask me. I'm a little surprised if they haven't already. Oh, wait. If you will share your deck. And that always comes up. We do a recap. We send out a recap after the call. So if you're open to it. Okay. I'll collect that from you offline. And then Jason had a question. Do you want to ask Jason, or do you want me to ask on your behalf?
Thank you so much, Brandy. And Jen. So one question, like when you're having your high-end luxury sellers do a pre-inspection before you put it on the open market.
Yep.
Can you share your script? If I were a seller, what would you tell me that would get me to do that? Or do you pay for that?
So I do not pay for it. I believe that people should always have skin in the game. So what I do a pre-listing, first of all. So I'm looking to qualify that seller for me, not just whether or not they're qualifying me, if that makes sense. I always believe in interviewing each other. It might not be the right fit if they're not willing to do some of those repairs, but I will say that what I say to them, if this is your question, is, have you ever purchased a home and during the inspection, you were really surprised about some of the findings and a little bit disheartened by the seller not disclosing those items? And in the luxury world, they all have that experience. And when I ask that question versus telling them they need to get the pre-inspection, it opens up their mind to the buyer perspective, because we always want them to look at someone else's perspective, and they'll always answer yes for the most part, because most of these people have bought and sold many, many different homes, right? I have a client right now that has a property in Canada, North Georgia, the East Coast. So I am going to need an East Coast referral soon. We'll get to that later, and a house in New Zealand. So they've had a lot of experiences. And when they say, yes, I've had that. And I go, how did that make you feel? And they feel like the seller should have known a lot of that stuff, but quite frankly, the seller doesn't. So now we have this whole list and we have a clean inspection. And I always ask them, do you want a really smooth transaction where we have very little negotiations after the inspection? Or would you like to have renegotiations possibly occur later? So that their question is usually answered by them answering the question.
Self-realization, that's the best way to lead clients.
Selling is not telling. Selling is asking questions. So you're just leading them to your desired result through the use of questions. Love it.
I'm always asking questions. For me, it's I ask a lot of questions. And so when I am on a consultation, I don't really talk about myself. All those stats and everything I just shared with you are actually in the pre-listing. So that way they have a chance to review it. And I fully expect them to review those items. And then I expect them to have everything ready on my checklist when I get there. And that tells me how serious they are. Everyone goes, oh, it's hard to see their motivation. And I feel like their motivation has changed. And the reality is, the pre-inspection, the pre-listing, all those things are more important than anything. Sorry, I'm trying to get into better lighting. My lighting changed in my room, so I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Great answer. There's some other questions here, right, Jen? And Anjali?
Yes. So what I would love to know, going by all that we know about you, would you like to I know now with the wedding, it's got to be a little different, but walk us through a typical day. What is a high achiever like you? What does a typical day for you look like?
Sure. So my day starts with a very early rise. I like to meditate. So a little time with myself. I'm actually very selfish. I like that time by myself before anyone else actually gets up. It's very peaceful. I take my dogs outside. I have 3 dogs, a Belgian Malinois and 2 Shepherds. So it's always fun to spend that time. I have a 6-acre property that we just purchased. So it's very peaceful with a lot of oak trees. It has very good feng shui. Some of you might have seen that I'm a certified feng shui specialist. So that's helpful in staging and getting the energy right in a home. So I love taking in that energy with all the greenery outside. And then I'm going to exercise. That's the only way I'm going to have energy is my 8 hours of sleep, really, really good diet and exercise. So some form, I love yoga. It's one of my favorite forms of really becoming self-full. I believe taking care of yourself. Otherwise you'll not be able to do all these things for your clients. Or, now I have 300 plus agents. So, I'm pouring into a lot of people in addition to clients in a leadership role. So it's really important that I have good sleep patterns, exercise routine. At 8:30, I get on 8:20, I get on a call. And Brady Sandel taught me this during COVID when we were all disconnected. So now I get on a Zoom call every morning at 8:20 with my team. Sorry. Thank you, UPS is here. And we talk about gratitude. I do believe in, getting the gratitude and out and expressing it to others and saying it out loud. And then we talk about our goal for the day, because what I find is a lot of agents, especially if they're newer to the team or they're not used to habits, forming a daily routine, then they get a little disorganized and preoccupied and distracted, especially with social media. So we at least record this call, make sure we go over their goal, and then what can we do to support them on the operation side, or, me helping them convert. Do I need to be on the consultation? Do they need a consultation presentation put together? And then we talk about grit. Is there anything that's really holding you back today? And there might be some mindset issues with them. Again, I invite my agents from the brokerage as well to attend, but we started it with my team. And then the last thing is we jump on a script practice, which we actually call Words That Work. And all it is just great questions that we ask. And just like, we had the great question of how do you answer this objection? So I do that, and I let anyone can join even outside of my brokerages, but it's mainly my agents and my team that jump on that. And then at 9 o'clock, I'm just calling my friends and family, checking in on them, doing care calls, and then lunch. And then any appointments are always in the afternoon. And then I'll typically have a networking event. I'm a high DI, so I love being social. And so I will go to, like tomorrow, we have a yappy hour. It's for the Humane Society and it's Pets for Vets. One of my agents helped us raise $25,000 at a mega camp for this program. So we are doing a happy hour, and we're inviting our clients, our agents, any agents we're looking to attract. We would love for them to help come volunteer, enjoy happy hour, learn about the Humane Society and the Pets for Vets program. Those are two things that are really important to me, are veterans. I come from a veteran family. We're getting married on Veterans Day, and in lieu of gifts, we are raising funds for Operation Second Chance, another charity we're involved with. So, you know, people know this, and this is what I'm constantly putting in my marketing or on my social media, not again to brag. This is just to attract the people that have a similar belief system or something in common, whether that's agents or clients. I want to be able to have interesting conversations and enjoy being around people that are like-minded.
Oh, that's fabulous. I think India has got a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Are you there?
Hi, everyone. Yes, sorry. So my question is, I'm fairly new to real estate as a whole, and I'm so excited. But however, my question is, being that I am a new agent, one thing that I did learn is that to become, don't become an agent, a luxury real estate agent, but become a real estate agent that sells luxury. So in order to apply this, one thing that I've done is reach out to listing agents who have a listing on MLS that are in the higher price ranges. However, my concern is sometimes that they don't allow showings unless they have proof of funds before the showing even happens, that they're qualified. So how could I, as a agent, be able to kind of do open houses for them and, you know, try to get my name out there into that atmosphere of the higher end clients?
So my first suggestion is don't ask them to host an open house if they really don't have a relationship with you yet, right? So we've got to earn the right to be able to sit in a luxury open house. One thing I did when I started out as a receptionist, I was straight out of USF. I had a bachelor's degree in psychology. I'm like, what am I going to do with this, right? I was registered for the graduate program, which is industrial organizational psychology. So that's why I really love statistics and business. I mean, I thought I was going to be a business consultant. I had no interest in real estate. I took a summer job when my mom was a little ill. She's fine now, but we had a little cancer scare. So there's a lot of radiation and appointments that she went through. So I came back here, took a summer job. I was literally waiting tables, bartending at a local restaurant my friend owned, made a lot of cash doing, you know, what I thought was a lot of cash in my 20s, right? And then I got hired, one of my clients that was a repeat client that came into the restaurant. And I looked at them as clients, right? Because the only way I was going to make that cash is if I gave them a great experience. So I've always known that whatever you deliver is your income is a direct result of their experience. Mm-hmm. So I would, you know, remember their drinks. I would remember what they would order, the wine that they like, the presentation of how I presented their wine. One of my patrons said, you'd really be good in real estate. I think you should look into that. I know you want to go to this, you know, program at USF, but I think you should take a summer job and try it out. So I did. And I started as a receptionist. And so part of I was hired to answer a phone. Okay. And then I just started calling people, and I would take people to lunch that I knew were really smart, either in commercial or luxury. So I could figure out, what do I want to do? And I would just ask them a lot of questions. And over time, when they see that you're learning based and that you really do want to learn how to do it the right way, you're building the trust, you're showing you have integrity, all those core values that you internalize will come out when you're in conversation with them. And next thing you know, they're going to invite you to be a part of their world. And then when you do ask to host an open house, they will go meet you there and show you how to do a really proper broker open or open house. But you can visit broker opens, you know, again, unless it's an invite only, you can actually go and see those homes when all the other agents and brokers are going there.
Thank you. Great feedback.
Thank you.
So Gloria, I'm just looking through the chat. Gloria had a similar question about being a new or breaking into luxury. Gloria, do you feel like that answers your question, or do you want to chime in and ask a bit more?
And then we'll go to Louise right after that. We haven't forgotten you, Louise.
All right. Gloria, chime in whenever you're ready. Eric, are you still interested in learning more about how to engage in a staging conversation?
Yes, I was just curious as to what you all use as far as the research to kind of lead your client. As you were saying, are they willing to do the things that are necessary, especially for, let's say, a $4 or $5 million property? What research do you show that shows that the staging has paid off in the long run for your other clients?
That is a great question. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the National Association of Realtors, and you probably get aggravated when you have to send them your money. However, there's a lot of value on their website and also your state website. There's an actual profile all around staging. So again, going back to my nerdy statistics that I love, those statistics, I have my graphic designer kind of rebrand to match my colors. Remember, your branding should be consistent. So don't just plug in the stats and pull over all these, different colors. Make sure your font, your color palettes, everything, you have a brand box is what I call it. And if you don't, someone can create that for you. But the statistics I use are directly from that profile. There's also an international home buyer profile. So you can see some of those things, and that's all in my consultation. And then I have a few things in the pre-list, but sharing with them the buyer's view of a home staged versus not staged, that will help you establish the importance. And again, making sure you have that. I do a 15-minute pre-listing conversation, and I have a list of questions I ask them. And part of that is, are you willing to take the advice that we will give you as experts on how to prepare your home to bring it to in the best light to get you the most money in this market? And if they answer yes, I can always refer back to that pre-listing and say, you had mentioned early on that you'd be willing to get the property ready. Here's some of my suggestions. And I just walk through with them in the home and make notes. And then I know it sounds crazy, but I have a feng shui checklist, so if there's anything that, even if they have furniture in the home, might create break the flow of the energy, or certain things that might affect how a buyer feels in the home, I'm going to share with them from the training I've gone through. These are the things that we advise. So I have a whole checklist. So, statistics and checklists, I know that sounds boring, but just make it look pretty in your consultation and create a talking point around it, and then share a story or show a picture of a before and after. And maybe you have to use someone else's before and after with their permission in your office, or you're welcome to use any of mine. I'm happy to share those with you. Just make sure you have something to show them visually and then a story around it, and just don't regurgitate those numbers, because not everyone's gonna receive that information the way that others would.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Some
All
other
right,
questions?
Louise. Did we lose her?
I'm here.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, someone else.
Hey, Brandy.
Hi.
So this question isn't related to luxury. I have always been in awe of how much you've accomplished in your career. Could you tell us, what is the duration and time between your being a receptionist and now owning 2 market centers?
Sure. So a brief synopsis of my story is, in 2004 is when I took that summer job. I was not licensed. I just wanted to see if I'd like real estate. Right around April of, actually 2003, I started that job. 2004 is when I got my license, and I ended up running the office kind of as an office manager. There was really no one there. So I started putting together really cheesy and not great PowerPoint listing presentations, but they didn't have anything, so they didn't know how awful it probably was. And there really wasn't a marketing budget. And then I was kind of an ISA too, because the broker just gave me a phone book and was like, call people and get these agents some appointments. And I'm like, what do I say? Like, there were no scripts. There was no words that worked. There was no bold. I mean, I had no training. My broker was a commercial broker. He didn't even know anything about residential. I had to call the Florida Association of Realtors hotline. So I kind of had to become learning based in order to not be a fraud, right? I didn't want to go out there and go, I'm this licensed expert, but I had to figure it out. So I went to NAR, I went to FAR, and got those, designations very early on, and then continued each year getting one more as a goal. So right around 2006, I started to see things were probably not going to be so great. Well, most people didn't really acknowledge that until 2008. So I'm sure you've seen the movie The Big Short. I had a friend of mine who was a mentor. His name was Dave Pierce. He's still in real estate. He owns a bunch of property management companies in Orlando now. And I swear we were having secret meetings about the market and everything collapsing, but everyone thought we were weirdos. So we had to have like these private meetings to go over numbers, and I had to learn how to do short sell. So I was already training myself on how to do that. And I was calling banks, asking them if they had a process for short sells. And they really didn't. So I was putting together checklists for them in case we had to consult with people losing their homes. And then I went into doing short sales and foreclosures. I started my own brokerage in 2008 when everyone probably was getting out of the business, and everyone said, you'll never be successful. This is the wrong time. I mean, all these lovely, affirmations that they expressed to me. And I was like, I'm going to do this, and I don't need you to tell me what I can or can't do. So I just went out and helped people. And I saved a lot of their homes by not going into foreclosure because of the consultation process and those checklists of questions. And then I helped a lot of buyers, buy property for like pennies on the dollar. And those are still my clients for life because they have so much equity. They've been able to use some equity, go buy other properties. And these are school teachers sometimes. This is not a lot of luxury clients. I was helping just normal people have home ownership that may or may not ordinarily have been able to based on affordability issues. So it was a great opportunity for buyers during that time. And then right around 2010, I had my brokerage for a few years. We were dominating in a lot of things, including luxury in Sarasota. And I was approached by an OP and her husband, Greg and Joanne Owens, and they attracted me to Keller Williams. And I worked in their market center. I was on the ALC. I was the finance chair. Imagine that, nerdy statistics person. And I learned how to really run a business the right way. And then I learned how to follow the MREA the right way. I had that book from Dave Pierce, 2004. He brought me a box full of books and I read it, but I didn't study it. So then I became a student of it. And I quickly went from 30 million to 60 million in 1 year. And I had an amazing luxury coach. And then I got the opportunity in 2015 to launch my own market center, but I didn't ask for the opportunity. My regional director said, you're attracting agents to this downtown Sarasota market center, you're teaching, you're on the ALC. So it was all these little things along the way. And then it was, hey, would you like to have your own market center? Now, I didn't go into the market center and teach and do all the things and share my listing consultation and help new agents sell luxury homes because I thought I was going to open a market center. I really didn't want to. I had merged my brokers with Keller Williams. I thought, this is great. I have no liability and they do all the training and tech. And I just teach a class every once in a while and sit in a recruiting meeting and look at their financials. Like, this is a win-win. I've got a great cap, right? This is a fantastic opportunity. And then I just kind of got tapped on the shoulder and I was like, well, I don't know. What does that look like? It sounds exciting. And then I got an opportunity to buy another market center. And then all these ancillary businesses were kind of formed during that period, basically because I could see the need for the agents. So right now we just did a joint venture for a title. We are working on a marketing company. We just bought a big printer so we can have all in-house postcards and brochures. And that way we don't have to wait to get them from California or some of these other companies.
How very fortuitous of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Leslie Akers just beat me to it. I was just going to say, you are the epitome of come from contribution. And Leslie says, our KW culture and action, that is coming from abundance. And Sarita says, great example of contribution, helping others and yourself. Being on ALC on the finance committee helped her become the business owner she is today. Yes, absolutely. Great story. What an example.
And be pushy if you're on the ALC. Don't be shy. I kept asking for credit card statements and I wanted to know where the money was going. And they're like, well, what do you need to see the credit card statement for? I go, well, I can see our payment to the credit card institution. I want to know what was on that bill. So I would highlight, oh, this looks like money we were wasting. So I got curious about it. And then that really helped me run my team better and to understand the budget model and to make sure that, you know, we're not spending too much on lead generation or whatever it may be.
Incredible information. I have a question for you, Brandy. At this moment in the market right now, what script are you using with luxury buyers to get them off the fence and pull the trigger now on a purchase? And by the same token, what script are you using with your luxury sellers to get them to price it realistically? It'd be really wonderful to hear some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I always give people a range in pricing regarding a seller. My job is not to dictate to someone that owns the home where to price it. My job is to give them an opinion of a price and to give them a range. And within that range, you know, I let them know if you price it here, this is under market value. No matter what market, you're likely to get multiple offers. If you price it here, you're looking at, you know, 30 to 90 days, depending on, again, what kind of luxury price point it is. So, you know, if it's $1 million, then it would be like a 30-day offer. If it's above 2 million, it might be more like 90 to 120 days. So again, it depends. You've got to really know your language of real estate for the overall market. And you can get a lot of those from the Luxury Institute. And so I will go over statistics, you know, where the market's trending, what's going on. And then I'll give them like, here's the high end, but you know, this is, if you have a lot of time, and quite frankly, this is going to be time versus money for you. And I'll go back to their motivation. They always choose that under market value or the mid price point, which I can work with. And right now with the sellers and the buyers, I am just really talking about mortgage tactics more than anything. So for any of you that were in Gary's mastermind, the last mastermind was really great. All those slides I have rebranded, and I had a gentleman that runs a major corporation that owns 5 homes on a buyer consultation the other day. And I just went over some of the tactics to buy down the rates. And then I showed him one of the slides you've all seen at family reunion, even if you're not in Gary's mastermind, where it's the history of interest rates. And this gentleman is not stupid, right? You know, he's been through multiple markets. He is really highly intelligent. He's running a big corporation, but again, he might not have purchased a home in a few years. So let's just say it was 5 years. He's so accustomed to, oh my gosh, I have a 2.75 on this other vacation property, which is of course free money. And so I have to just put it into perspective. And I shared with him some slides. I only pulled the slides when they became a talking point. I don't run through slides with my clients. I don't open my consultation and read through every page. I just flip to the page because I know what's in there. And then I will cover their objection by sharing information and then asking them questions. And this was 15 minutes I had with this gentleman because he had a meeting, a corporate meeting. And he said it was the most informative 15-minute call he's ever had with a real estate professional and all the homes he's bought. Now, this guy has moved all across the country and the world for an international company. So I thought, oh my gosh, everyone should be doing this. So I didn't like pat myself on the back. I then went to my agents and started teaching them, like, are you having these conversations? And then, you know, maybe you'll have less objections. You can convert these buyers and sellers if it's their time. You know, it's not our job to tell them or persuade them. It's our job to have great conversations. And if they self-discover, yes, I still want to do this based on this information, amazing.
So the history of interest rates, a chart showing them that so that they're not comparing it to the 2.7% interest rates.
Yeah.
That is what can get buyers off the fence. It gives them perspective is what I'm hearing you say.
And also mortgage tactics. So instead of saying, I want to do a price adjustment or reduction, are you willing to buy down the rate for the buyer? They're more concerned about the payment and any price point, because we all know luxury buyers were also getting loans. Who wouldn't leverage for 2.75? So now they're kind of in the mode of leveraging, and maybe they would have paid cash before. And this guy is toying around. He has the cash, you know, but he's toying around with, am I going to pay cash or am I going to leverage? And I was helping him figure out what he should do. Of course, you know, he can pay cash. It's just, here are your options, and here's where the market's at, and here's what I think. And, you know, again, my opinion as an expert. And then asking him those questions. And, you know, his wife wants a house here. You know, she wants to move from the East Coast to the West Coast. We have a lot of that going on. And so I think he wants to make her happy, but he's so logical. He wants to make sure he's making the right decision number wise too. So understanding the different personalities is very important. The wife was more concerned about the design of the home. You know, every note she made And of course, she saw that I had a design company. So she picked me as a realtor because she said, oh, I know you'll understand my discerning taste. So if you're not partnered or you don't own a design company, make sure you partner with someone so that that can be part of your listing consultation and part of your marketing. You don't have to be an owner of the company, just to align yourself with someone that's an expert so you can have them in a consultation too, like a mortgage broker, right?
Great point. Thank you.
Well, that's interesting. Louise wants to know, so what did he decide to do finally? Finance or cash?
So they're going to finance. Yeah. Yeah. And they're going to spend like 1.7. This will be their 5th home. And they're going to they bumped it from 1.5 to 1.7. Because if he had the cash, he would have stayed below the 1.5. Well, there's only 11 homes that meet her criteria. And there was really only one home she actually liked. And they're coming to town December 5th after the wedding, thank God. So, you know, I'll have one of my agents, she'll shadow me. Again, I have to let people shadow. You know, we get in this mode of we have a team, we're the rainmaker, and yes, you're going to work less when you're out of production, but you still have to let people shadow you. If you want them to meet your expectations, you can't throw them a checklist. I've learned this. I've tried that method. You know, you can't just say, these are all the things you have to do. They have to see it in action and how you converse with people and, you know, riding around and showing you're the mayor of your town. You show them how to be the local economist of choice. That no one else is teaching them that. It's our job.
I see one question here that remains from Zyrel. Zyrel, can you ask, what was the question that you put there in the chat?
Yes, hi, Brandy. Thank you so much, Jason. My question is about how, what is the approach that you actually did to know your client's needs? So you mentioned about earlier about your client's needs and about your value proposition. So I want to know, like, how did you get to that point of your value proposition?
So are you talking about just like, my belief system, my mission, my vision, all that? Okay. So yes. There's a really great exercise. I'm sure they still do it in Bold, where you have these little note cards and it has different core values on it. You can also just write down the first 5 words that you think of that are really important to you, or you can write 10 and then narrow it down to 5. But in Bold, when you're in a group, you establish your core values of that group, and then you come up with a name. You don't necessarily come up with a mission and vision. We talk about that a little bit, but you can actually start with, I always start with my core values. That kind of tells me who I want to be around, the type of clients I want to be engaged with, what I'm willing to accept, what I'm not willing to accept. And for some people, it's respect. Some people it's loyalty, whatever that is. Just take a notepad or create some index cards, and you can write down as many core values as you can Google maybe. And then you might sit down with your team members if you're wanting to do the exercise together. I kind of had these because I had a brokerage before, and I just kind of translated them into the team. Now we did revise our philosophy and our vision and mission recently with the team. We just changed a little bit of the language and we added some legacy information in there. But if you're on a team or maybe with your spouse, they might be really inclined to know who you are and how you operate. Maybe a parent, you know, I called my mom one time in Bold and I'm like, okay, tell me what you think of me. Like, be honest. Like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And you're going to see a little theme in there somewhere of like how you operate and why you operate that way. So a parent, a sibling, a spouse, your team, someone in your market center, your team leader might know, you know, what you excel at, and then you'll start to shape everything around it. Your vision is, you know, what do you want to kind of be seen as and where you're going? Who do you want to attract for your team if you're looking to build a team, or just for you?
As far as the team, can you talk a little bit more about the team attracting the talent that you want? You may have covered it a little bit, but if say we want a great buyer's agent on our team, what are the 3 steps you would do to get one, not multiple, one buyer's agent that can convert your leads if you're a listing agent?
Yeah. So you're going to do a lot of pre-screening. You know, you want to interview as many people as possible. And, you know, it's very difficult to have other people interview for you. I mean, that takes a long time of being in partnership with somebody and coming up with a plan for a great CEO to be able to do that. But the disc is very important. obviously the KPA, you know, I'm a psychology major, so I'm a firm believer in career visioning and the KPA. And anytime, even later after I've hired someone and we might be having a disconnect, I'll go back to their KPA and read it so that I can go back and have the right conversation with them, because I can be super direct. And sometimes that comes across as a way that other people are perceiving as being, you know, maybe impolite. But I have thoughts that come on my brain. So I have to remember when I'm communicating to who I'm communicating with. But the personality profiles for different, the organizational chart for an MREA team, I think is really important. Because if they're not wanting to work with buyers yet, that's all they've done, and they really want to be a listing agent and their profile matches that, that might be something to train them on and they're going to excel in. And then you might have buyer's agents that really want to do listings, but financially, if they were just to refer it to a listing agent who could convert at a much higher level versus nurturing them for so long, you know, because an ISC is a nurturer, you know, and they're very analytical. So that might slow down that process. And when you're a listing agent, you got to go in there and convert. So sometimes they're still going to benefit by receiving a referral fee or whatever structure, you know, so it's really putting them in a role or helping them get into a role that makes them happy. Because when people aren't happy, that's when you have unfortunate circumstances on a team, and it could be your fault for putting them in the wrong roles. So I think career visioning is the most important thing.
Thank you. Great feedback. How many times have you taken career visioning? Just curious.
Oh God, I lost count. I have to, that's a great question. I'm sure KWI tracks that. My regional director probably knows, but I would say at least 10 times. And anytime it comes around, I will rearrange my schedule and go. I'm trying to think who taught it last. That was really, really good in our region. They're all great. I mean, we have great.
I think the last one here was Mark Olish who did it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that might have been in South.
I was there last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know we have different regions and everything. That we have so many great instructors. I mean, it's something, I know a lot of people that are running really high level teams. That's the only way they hire, and they don't skip any steps. I mean, I've skipped steps on it and it never works out. So just make sure you go 3 deep with those references, everything.
Got it.
Nikki teaches a fabulous CV class.
That's
Nikki Waldini.
Oh, I'll have to go to her next one then.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she is really good. Well, I would love to continue. I mean, I can talk to you all day, Brandy. This is just so fantastic, but we would like to be respectful of your time, soon to be married lady. I'm sure you've got lots to do. I want to close with a quote from a person you might have heard of, Brandy Coffey. I mean, she had a good one. It says, your income is a direct result of their experience. That's fabulous. I think that just sums up everything you do.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't like the income you're making, look at the systematic way in which you're creating experience, and is everyone on your team aligned with that? And if they are, then you can change that income very quickly. But I think you have to really look at what processes are in place. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but I probably bugged my team to death on checklists. Like, do we have an inventory for champagne? Do we have an inventory for our ribbon to wrap our listing consultations? I mean, I'm sure I have certain signs for certain properties, you know? So I'm sure I drive them a little bit crazy, but this is just who I am. I would
love to get those checklists. Oh my gosh. Yes, that would help. Well, thank you, Brandy, and all the very best for the wedding. Congratulations.
So
And
excited.
just a last thing before we go, Jen, do you want to wrap up and tell everyone the big news?
Yeah, well, thank you, Brandy, and thank you everybody for joining us. Everybody usually asks, so you can expect to receive a follow-up recording. I'll reach out to Brandy and get any documents she wants to share for that follow-up that I send out or that goes out. And then make sure you check the chat box. There's a link to YouTube, and it'll be in the follow-up, and that's where we post any recorded calls. So our next call is, we do it every first Wednesday. Our next call is December 7th, and we have
Drum roll.
Yes, we have the great privilege to have a chat with Gary Keller. So he's talking about current trends in luxury, and so just save the date, December 7th. You'll receive an invitation. If you are not on the invitation list from me, that information's in chat as well. I'm going to put it there one more time while I'm talking. And that's it. I mean, that's not just it, but that's a pretty exciting call. So between Brandy and Gary, I think we are all very fortunate to have access to all these great resources, and we're very appreciative.
Well, I'm glad you told me that Gary was next at the end of the call versus the beginning of the call.
Yes, we've had some great speakers, including obviously you, but we've been very fortunate. We've had Jason Abrams and Brady Sandall and all sorts
Caroline, whoa, Bob Lucido, and
Yes,
we
Bob
would
Lucido.
love, yes, my favorite man. We would love to get your opinions as well as to who you would like us to interview for you and learn from. So do reach out to us and let us know. And before we go, please, the link is there. If you can find it in you, donate whatever you can towards the Thanksgiving feast that they are organizing for the hard-hit agents in South Florida. Would love if you could just donate whatever you can. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Brandy, and congratulations in advance.
Yay!
Everyone have a great day.
Congratulations.
Thank
Post
you.
pictures on social media.
Yes, please.
Bye, everyone.
Have a
Take care.
wonderful day, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
See you and Gary next time.